been a couple months since we've done an update, and you can see part of the reason already still on the van. It's been snowing here and it's super cold. It's like 6 degrees out today, but I'll show you here what we've done the past couple months. You can see from the start already up top the Maxxair fan, which we ended up going with just one instead of two, and I'll show you the reason why in a second. And then the solar panels, which we got two up there. And then the reason we didn't get the second fan is because in the back my wife really wanted to be able to see the stars while we slept, so we've got a Bomar boat hatch right over the head of the bed. So I'll show you that when we get inside, and then I'll do a shot up top to show you the panels and the fan and all that stuff. So first things first, we got the floor down. We just went with a cheap adhesive backed vinyl planking. I was a little under $1 a square foot, and actually really happy with it. Super easy to put in, pretty durable. The only negative that I've seen so far is with the cold weather, it has shrunk some of these joints on the ends, which has been weird. Hasn't been any of the long joints, just the short ones. So it won't end up mattering. We'll have a rug down over that, and if my OCD kicks in, I'll just get some colored caulk, mix it to get close to it, and fill those spots in. But actually really happy with it, and it wasn't difficult to put in. The other thing with the floor, so we had already had the plywood cut, but we didn't have any insulation under it because we ended up pouring the blue rubber liquid stuff down. So you can see that metallic sheet of bubble wrap, which we're basically putting on all the surfaces. But we pulled up the plywood, laid that stuff down, threw the plywood back down, and then screwed it before putting the planking down. So yeah, that's it. So floor's done, and show you the bed here. So we did get the bed in, and if you saw the other videos, our goal with the recess was to have enough room to put the king size bed in, which we did. So we got this off of Free Cycle. It's huge and it's really thick. It is a beautiful and wonderful and comfortable beast, but it is a beast nonetheless. So with that, with this nice big bed that's not foam, we weren't able to do anything with the back corners. So right now, between the back of the bed and the doors, there's that little recess in there. It's about 6 inches, which pillows like to fall down, and that sort of thing. So we might end up switching this out and getting a foam bed that we can cut the corners and tuck this all in there nicely. But for now, I mean, you can't beat free and comfortable. So the bed, so the goal from the start was to have this thing kind of hover without a middle piece, and we were able to do that. So you can see we've got all this nice storage space now, and the way we installed it is these are 2x6s, and all of these transit vans have these holes right here, and they run the length. And all I did was make sure my measurements were really done well, and was able to drill holes into this 2x6 where they needed to be, and then ran bolts through. And because you have these other little recesses in there, it was enough room to get my hand on the other side, hold a wrench or hold the nut, and then use a ratchet from this side. So it's in there. That thing is not moving. So we did that on both sides, and then on the top just notched it out for these pieces of metal, which the reason it's not flush on the top is originally when I made my measurements, I used 1x pieces of metal, so 1 inch by 1 inch square, and it just didn't feel sturdy enough. So I ended up going with 2 inch, and I already had these boards installed and definitely did not want to take the time to pull them out. So just notched them down a little bit further, and then the plywood runs on the top. and it's great. I mean, there's no bow in it at all. It's nice and firm. So super happy with that. And of course now I've got all this room underneath to keep all of my tools and excess building stuff for the interior here. So before we go up top and show you the roof and the ceiling here again, I'll show you. So this is basically 1/3 of an inch by, it's like 3.5 inch. This is what I'm going to use for the ceiling. These are 8-foot lengths. Got those from Home Depot. Still not sure if I'm going to stain them or leave them raw, but it's just pine, you know, pretty inexpensive. For the walls, we're going to do the same thing, but we did want a wider board. We were at a flooring supply store, and they had this really odd white floor that was really cheap. It was like 45 cents a square foot. So we bought a few boxes of that. The nice thing with it is it's basically meant for walking, so it's going to be able to take any sort of beating, which it shouldn't have much anyway being on the wall. But it's already white, already has like a gloss on it. The only downfall with it is that it is shorter pieces, so they're 2, 3, and 4 feet pieces, which I'm hoping won't be too much of a pain because we don't have a lot to do. We really just have that length that goes the whole front to back, and then this little area here. But I've got those 2x3s that run in between, and they're basically every 2 feet. So it's just going to take a little bit of finagling to make sure that I don't use all my 4-foot pieces up first. So it's going to be a little bit of Tetrising, but hey, we're going to be saving half as much money on it. So hopefully that's where we'll see the benefit of choosing that route. Oh, the other thing with inside here, so if you have a transit or scene, you've got this wire that runs the whole length of the van, and when you buy the van, it's covered with a little plastic sheathing strip. And in my haste, when we first got this, I was just like, yeah, let's pull this down, we'll hide this wire, it'll be awesome. The wire, you can't really hide it unless you cut it and then splice it, or cut it and then reattach it and all that stuff, and it's a bunch of little wires, so I wasn't about to tackle that. So then I thought, well, I found this stuff, this wire loom. It's a lot smaller, it's white, might blend in a little bit better, but drilling these holes is ridiculously hard. For these 4 holes, it took way longer than I'd like to admit. So yeah, you can see here, this is where I gave up for the time being. But so I might put that plastic piece back up. The only problem is it stays up with these little, I don't know what you call these, little holders. And when I was pulling it down, I did pretty well at the beginning or at the end, but I broke a lot in the beginning. So it's just going to take some time to figure out how to put that back up. But word to the wise, if you're doing this conversion, don't even mess with that. Just leave the wire in that black thing, maybe spray paint it, and you'll be good to go. So let's go back to the ceiling. So from the interior here, that's the Maxxair fan with the hood on it. So that's at the front of the van here. And then looking back, which on the roof here would be the section that would have the solar panels. And then this gets us all the way to the back to the Bomar boat hatch. So this is about, I think it was like 13.5 inches by 17.5 inches. And basically it was the biggest one that we could get in this small little area, but I'm super happy with it. This is going to open up almost all the way. So if we want to have, you know, just clear sky shot, we can. And if we want to keep this open along with the other fan, this does have a screen that sits in there too. But yeah, so that's the wonderful boat hatch. So we're excited about that. And now I'll take you outside and I'll show you up top what we did. Alright, so we are up top now, and show you the fan, which got this up basically as far as I could get it, with the hopes of having enough room for the panels and then the boat hatch in the back. And really happy all my measurements worked out. You can see we got 2 panels up there, and what we did is Perrycraft Adventura luggage rack, which is just 2 long pieces. These are the longest ones they make. They're 88 inches, which was just long enough to get these 2 panels on. So we've got one on each side. Use some little L brackets and a piece of cushion underneath there. And the fan I'll mention, I did end up buying. You can see this little black piece of plastic in there. It's a little adapter that you can get that makes the top flat, so you don't have to deal with trying to basically pad it all up. And it was like 60 bucks, 65 bucks. There's a guy on eBay that makes them. I'll include a link for that. This is the first one I've ever put in, but I think that's going to be a total lifesaver, time saver for anybody. And of course, because this van's so high and getting up here is a pain in the ass, I didn't want to dick around. I wanted to spend a little bit extra money and only have to do this once. So that's where the fan is here. And then once again, you can see the panels, and I'll show you the back. And here's the boat hatch, which you can see this too has that black adapter. And what I did, the gentleman off eBay that makes this stuff, I got in touch with him, gave him the dimensions of the boat hatch, had him custom make one. It was about 130 bucks. So you know, a little bit more because it's custom and a little bit bigger. But once again, didn't want to have to mess around with any water coming in and having to do anything after, you know, we've spent a day putting this thing in. So far so good. We've had some snow, we've had some rain, and no leaking at all. So far super happy with it. And that's it. So if you have any questions, once again, just leave them down below. I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, the next video is going to go over the ceiling on the inside and then probably start the walls. Until next time, thanks.